Ole Miss fans need a hotel for the game weekend? Many OTAs keep all the commissions, but at Fan Plans, you still get your loyalty points, receive direct confirmation from the hotel, and you support Rebel Grove. Visit fanplans.com/Rebel Grove today.
Welcome into another edition of the Mason Brooks Show presented by The Rogue. I'm Neil McCready. That obviously is Mason Brooks. Ole Miss's offensive lineman played quite a bit in the Rebels' 35-27 win over Tulsa on Saturday. Of course, Ole Miss now up to number 14 in the Associated Press Top 25. They entertain number 7 Kentucky Saturday morning at 11 a.m. The game is on ESPN. Be a lot of talk about the Kentucky Ole Miss game throughout the week, both here at MPW Digital and damn near anywhere where you listen to anything about sports. One of the big national games, obviously one of the handful. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games this week nationally that feature 2 ranked teams, and Kentucky and Ole Miss is one of those 5 games. So we'll be talking a whole lot about it over the course of the week. Before we get to Mason and the show, I want to remind you the show brought to you each and every week by The Rogue, 4450 I-55 North in Jackson, or therogue.com. Either way, you can go in person, you can go online. They've got items that were handpicked by Rogue employees, Rogue people, Peter Millar, Martin Dingman, Jack Victor, Halsey, True Grit, more. Whatever you're looking for is for work, for lifestyle, for nightlife. They've got it at The Rogue, 4450 I-55 North in Jackson. Mason, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I'm good. I'm as good as one can be. Turn the page to a Sunday. My Bengals are winning big, so I'm not having to worry about that at this point. I got Panthers beating the Saints. That's a game that I had picked, so I'm feeling all right now.
I see Chenault scoring or getting a big first there. What's this? Oh yeah, Panthers are up.
Yeah, 19-7 at this very moment, which is going to be weird when people are listening to this on a Tuesday. Like, what the hell are they talking about? We're just we're watching the NFL on a Sunday afternoon. All right, so you guys, you held off Tulsa yesterday. I know you came in and played a lot of right guard. I thought it was interesting. It was last week or the week before. I was thinking about this when I saw you in the game and clearly playing a lot against Tulsa. You were like, hey, my challenge this year is not what I thought it was going to be, but it's going to be, I've got to be ready because I'm going to go in and I don't necessarily know where I'll go in, whether it's left tackle or right guard or whatever. And yesterday, Caleb Warren had to come out. Eli Acker moved over from right guard to center, and in you went, kind of like a puzzle piece. Is that kind of become your mindset too over the course of a week, a day? Just, hey, I've got to be ready for whatever when I'm called upon.
Yeah, well, we started this week off, and Coach Thornton kind of came in and he said, based on the defensive structure, I want you playing left tackle this week, and that's kind of where we see you, throughout the week, just versus Tulsa. And Tuesday we had some different complications. I ended up playing right guard the whole day. After Monday being a left tackle, and then Wednesday I went back to left tackle. Spent the whole day at left tackle on Wednesday, and then Thursday was back at right guard, and Friday I was at left tackle, and then in the game he comes over and he's hey, get ready to go at right guard. And we get a test every week before the game, just kind of different stuff, and you take it at your position. So I took it twice this week. I took it at left tackle and right guard, and I kind of thought, maybe I'm doing extra work I didn't need to do, and I'm so glad that I did that, just because it was just a little small thing, but it still reminded me, hey, like, you got to be locked in to play both. And obviously, you watch the game, and in the second half, really, there was a lot left to be desired. So kind of a mixed bag for me. Excited to help, because that's what I came here to do, and excited to try to come in and prevent a drop off, but at the same time, not really the outcome we were, Oh, hello, Nala. How are you? Thank you.
She just wanted to be on the show.
Just wants to be loved.
Yeah.
not really the outcome we were looking for in the second half, obviously, and I think it was it was really potent in the locker room. Like that's one thing. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but that's one thing I really like about this team. Like it was the same feeling kind of after Troy. We're just like no one was celebrating because there wasn't really a whole lot to celebrate, and I like that about this team. Like guys want to be like we want to be excellent. We talk about being excellent all the time, and like you go out there and you don't execute like an excellent team does, and like guys aren't happy. Like no one's like that, and so I just think a lot of the guys just big game this week, obviously, but I think a lot of guys just want to get to work, again and get rolling. So
I want to spend a whole lot of time on it because I do want to be kind of forward thinking as people listen to this into the week. But what do you think did kind of happen in the second half? It wasn't like you guys weren't moving the football. It just you couldn't finish things. That we get a penalty, a turnover. It was little stuff that kind of piled up a little bit. What do you attribute that to?
I think you hit it on the head there. I think it was the little stuff and then not executing. And I was we winning that game last week. I don't think we went full rat poison because we worked hard this week and, but I do think that there was, especially at the first half, a little bit of like, oh, this is going to be like last week and we're just going to roll these guys or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying necessarily that was the vibe for the whole team, but, obviously when you're making little mistakes like that, it shows that you're not fully locked in. I can't really speak as far as like the defense because I know that, the backup quarterback coming in and being a running quarterback created a different element and just different stuff. But I will tell you that from an offensive standpoint, I was disappointed with the play efficiency in the second half and just leaving a lot of stuff to be desired out there. So, and I think that was obvious. I mean, as just a general fan, I think you could really see that we were pushing the ball, but we just weren't executing and we weren't finishing. And that's, not really what we want to be.
In an ideal world, obviously everybody's fully locked in all the time. You're totally focused on all that stuff, but that's not a realistic world. How difficult is it? Not asking you to make an excuse, but how difficult is it to go in on a hot day when you're up 35-17 and come back out in the second half and play with the same intensity? Obviously, that's what you want to do. That's the goal. And some days you can do it, but some days you see it happen all over the country. You see teams not be able to kind of keep going. How difficult is that just to be locked in?
It is difficult, obviously, because like you said, you see teams do it all the time where they, just don't execute and don't finish games and then they lose. I mean, we see ranked teams do it every week. I mean, Middle Tennessee came to Miami and beat them this week, and you could just tell that they came to play. And I'm not saying that we didn't come to play or X, Y, Z. I'm just saying it's easy to be good. It's easy to rest on your talent. It's hard to be great. It's hard to execute at the highest level. And that's what makes good teams great. And so, like, taking away going forward, obviously not the game we wanted, but am I glad that there's stuff we can learn from this? Absolutely. Like I take it as like, okay, like, frustrating. Obviously, there's so much we can talk about from an X's and O's standpoint in the game, but like good, like wake up, like we're playing football every week and we're playing a new opponent this week, and like we need to be on our P's and Q's because we're playing a really good football team, and we played a good football team this past week. And so I think that it'll just be good for the guys to kind of hone in on the small stuff and the little stuff and remember that, any team's liable to beat you at any point, and that's just kind of how this game works.
Let's turn the page a little bit to Kentucky. The Wildcats coming in, they're 4-0, just like you guys are. Here's a little stat that I worked on over the weekend. It's not particularly fascinating or anything, but Ole Miss has now won 15 of its last 18 games, dating back to the 2020 Outback Bowl. Kentucky dating back to the 2020, which bowl was it? Citrus or Gator, maybe Gator, whichever one of those bowls. They won it too, and they're 15-3 in their last 18 games. So it's two programs that are really ascending right now, and obviously it reflects in the polls. And you guys are playing on national television. SEC Nation will be here Saturday morning. All that stuff. Is there a different vibe already in the building? around the program that hey, SEC plays here. Not only that, but it's a big time opponent, and you're going to have your hands full, and it's different level of expectation among fans and that kind of thing. There's going to be a buzz in town that probably didn't exist for Tulsa.
Yeah, that's a mixed bag for me because I haven't been here for SEC play yet, so I don't really know exactly what the week's going to look like. And I like to think that we handled everyone the same for the most part, just because that's how Lane structures the program, and that's kind of his goal, is to treat every opponent the exact same. But in terms of from a vocal aspect, yes. I mean, even just Coach Savage, just the little stuff we've done this morning, it's very much a go time. You can feel it by the guys. A lot of locked in dudes this morning in the lift, and I think that's a mix of the past game and then just getting ready for this game. But yeah, I mean, the stakes are obviously higher on paper, but Kiffin said last week something like the best thing about 3-0 is a chance to go 4-0, and the best chance of going 4-0 is going 5-0. And I think you look ahead, or whatever, trying to look ahead, and that way when you're here, you could be in the moment. And we're here in the Kentucky game, and I think that from what I've seen, a lot of the guys are in the moment, and so going forward, we need to have a great Monday. From a prep standpoint, from looking through the game, and then I think we need to come out Tuesday, and that's your grind day. For people that don't know kind of how practice weeks are structured, your Monday, walkthroughs, you kind of watch the game, you start to kind of game plan, and Tuesday and Wednesday are really like, if the week is a cheeseburger, right? Monday and Sunday are your buns, and then you start to get your meat. I think that the game is the cheese, because that's the best part of cheeseburger. But the meat of your week this is a weird way to describe a week. I was going there. See, Nala's hungry now.
He hears you talking about cheeseburgers, and she's
but Tuesday and Wednesday are the meat of your week. So that's when you're really going to have your big days, and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, how you play in those days, I think, is how you're going to play in the game. And so we need to come out in full pads on Tuesday, and execute at a high level, and start to do little things right then, so that then Wednesday you can turn, fix the things you make mistakes on that day, and then Thursday clean up. Friday, when it gets more walkthroughs, all mental, and then that way when you get to the game, there is no shock or confusion. It's just game time. So
what do you put on your cheeseburger?
What do I put on my cheeseburger? Great question.
Yeah.
By the way, in terms of cheeseburgers that are amazing, in case you're wondering, I don't know if you were or not, but Whataburger, of course, is the classic for Texas. But there's my favorite here is Oxford Burger Company. By the way, I know that's like a hot take or whatever, but it's because they're bun. There's this place back in Texas called Alamo Springs Cafe. It's in the middle of nowhere, and we go there on our way to hunt, and they use Hawaiian roll bread. You know what I'm talking about?
Like the sweet bread, kind of.
Oh, it's just the way they do it is so good. But I like a bacon cheeseburger. I like onion rings on my burger. I know that's kind of weird, but if they're good, if they're homemade onion rings, ketchup and mustard, but just a bacon cheeseburger with some onion rings on it is hard to beat. They usually call it the Western burger. Here they call it the Texas burger or whatever. And the stereotype is true. That is an amazing burger. So that's my favorite for sure.
Texas people will fight you about Whataburger. I mean, they will. Those are fighting words with people.
Oh, 100%. And anytime people talk down on Whataburger here, I have to, remind them that it is the best. Look, the most diversity. This is what people, you go argue in and out, because everyone wants to argue in and out. Jackson Dart will argue in and out with me until the cows come home, pun intended. But Whataburger has breakfast and honey barbecue chicken strip sandwiches. Are you okay? And
she needs a sled to pull.
Yeah, dude, she does need a sled to pull. She needs to go to Alaska with Jim's relatives and get out of here. But they have French fries, honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich, breakfast, specialty burgers, shakes. I think it's the best, man. It's undefeated.
Yeah.
Anyone here?
And anyone who's ever been out to California, especially who has lived there for any period of time, they'll fight you on In-N-Out. And I mean, not to just placate you here, but I agree with you. I think Whataburger's better than In-N-Out. I've had both.
Yeah. Thank you.
In and Out's fine. It's fine. It's good. I just prefer Whataburger with the jalapeno burger. That's the one.
Oh yeah,
That's the good one.
you know
That's my deal. All right, let me ask you this, because fans are pretty worked up about 11 a.m. games. They'd rather the game be at night, or it's certainly in the afternoon, get a chance to get in the Grove and, liquor up and stuff. And I get that too. But from a player standpoint, is 11 a.m. kind of awesome, or is it not? Because I've heard players say, man, the earlier the better. I hate sitting around that hotel all day. Let me get up and go play.
I think for me, it's a mixed bag. If I'm going to play a night game, I want to play a true night game. I want to play at 7 because, you play a night game, like your day is over regardless. So like, rather than playing at 5 or 6, I'd like to just go ahead and play at 7 and have that be my Saturday night. But if I'm going to play during the day, like 3 o'clock games are frustrating because it kind of, you don't have a full chance to like relax in the hotel because you're kind of moving and shaking the whole morning. Whereas like 6 o'clock games, you have a full like window to like take a nap and, do some homework and still have kind of a day. But with 11 o'clock games, it gives us an opportunity to kind of like get out, after the game. I'm talking about get out of the facility,
sure.
Eat a meal with my family and like have some semblance of a normal Saturday. So, I like it just because you go ahead and, get up, eat breakfast and let's roll as opposed to, waiting around. So,
yeah, because on the 3 o'clock game, by the time you get back home or whatever, it's 8:30, 9 o'clock. I mean, realistically, and you're tired and you're sore. And
at that point, it's just kind of your day's kind of over. You take whatever food they give you. And I know I'm talking about food the whole time, but it is a big deal. So you kind of just take whatever food they give you and end up just watching the night games and going to bed. So
did you get to watch many of the games Saturday? Did you I know your guys at Western Kentucky had a big win. Were they 70-something points?
0, man. That's freaking. I call my roommate from my last school every week, and we just catch up on the weekends after the games. And they played Hawaii this year too, and he just said it's just that FIU was just a mess, and that game was just crazy. They had their 4s in. He said it was just a wild game. Something crazy. I saw Stephen F. Austin. I don't know if you saw this. They scored like 98 points or something ridiculous.
I saw that they got into the 90s against somebody. I mean, like you got to figure at some point the message is getting sent, hey, we probably don't need to keep piling this up. What's that?
Yeah, you cut out. I said we watched a little bit of the USC game. Jackson came over. Dart came over and we watched a little bit of those West Coast games because he's a West Coast cat and just kind of got filled in on those. So.
Yeah, I had Oregon State plus 5.5, and I was going to do that in another competition I'm in, and I got talked out of it. And when I saw the final score this morning when I got up, I was like, son of a I just stuck to my guns, I mean, I let people talk me out of it. I had that one. I watched the second half when I got home from work. I watched the second half of Texas A&M and Arkansas, which was a crazy game.
Crazy inning. The bounce kick, man, that's brutal.
Yeah, I mean the ball. It just shows you. Like, people talk about it being a game of inches. That's like literally a game of an inch.
Nuts.
The other thing that I've noticed, and you see this, like I know both teams in your game Saturday struggled with it some. Tulsa Center really struggled with the snap, but like one of the big plays in the Arkansas game that no one's talking about really because the kick and the fumble and all that stuff is no one's talking about the snap on 2nd and 5 at I think they're at the 20, maybe the 15. I can't remember. They're somewhere in there. And, they were driving with the chance to score a touchdown there, which I'm sure is I'm sure they weren't thinking field goal necessarily. And the bad snap was a 9-yard loss on 2nd down. So instead of 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, where you have a lot of things at your disposal, it's 3rd and 13 or 3rd and 14, and they just got 1 yard and then set up the kick, and you saw the rest. But snaps are like such a big deal. Is that
huge?
Can you snap at all? Is that something you have to work on a little? Are you an emergency snapper?
I'm probably like super mega emergency snapper. I can honestly probably long snap better than I can dead snap. But no, snaps are huge. I mean, it's just drive killer. I mean, you can't have it. It's arguably one of the worst things. In terms of like it's essentially like getting a penalty. You got guys scrambling around and whatnot. So it's really important for the center to be on on their game, like you said, that can really kill a drive. So
Yeah, I thought that impacted that game. And they showed the center for Arkansas on the bench after it was over. I mean, he was just in tears, and I'm sure he was thinking about that play, that one snap from, he probably played 80 snaps, and that was the one snap that was in his head at that moment.
it was the center from Arkansas, wasn't it? Yeah, I think his name's Stromberg.
Yeah.
That's who I'm thinking of. He's a great guy too. I met him at Mastermind. So that's there's a lot of like unspoken stuff that goes on about the O line, and people don't really see as much. But I mean, we take a lot of unspoken responsibility, but a lot of responsibility of the game falls on us, and that's something we're okay with. But it is hard. It is hard when you guys are counting on you and something like that happens. So I hate to see that happen.
I know we're jumping around a little. You talked about Central Arkansas, talked a lot. Did Tulsa, was Tulsa a trash talk team?
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but they talked a ton for one. Which when you're not playing great, it's not a whole lot to say back. But no, I pancaked one of their middle linebackers talking. It was just, I was bugged. So I was like, I'm going to try to get a hold of him here and throw him down. And so I threw him down, and he got up and like headbutted me and called me some really obscene things. And me and the SEC referees, I guess we just don't get along. And I turned to the referee because he was right there. And I was like, excuse me, sir, are you going to let him just hurl obscenities at me? And he was like, I was like, dude, what is it? What is y'all's deal with the whole, I didn't see it. Last week at Georgia Tech, I got my helmet ripped off. I mean, like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't know if they're listening to the show or what, but
you don't seem like the type that would be on the officials like hit list or something. I mean, you're pretty nice guy, laid back guy, Texas guy.
Freaking this week it was Jeremy James. I mean, I don't know if you ever see. You probably haven't seen an interview with Jeremy James because he hates the camera and he doesn't like talking. But Jeremy was just throwing people around this week. He was on one, and the referee said something to him about it, and Jeremy's like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, I'm not gonna not be physical. So I guess they just want us all to just kumbaya, unless it's the other team, and then they can say what they want.
Kinder, more peaceful football. All right, last couple of things. You mentioned that might have some new wardrobe now that the SEC is rolling around. Some new hats. What's going on with them?
Yeah, I got some different stuff working with some shops on the square, and my dad went home this weekend for a wedding, so he was able to kind of dig in the winter closet for me. So we got some felts coming out, and some different jackets, and some jewelry and whatnot. So I think we're gonna break out some different stuff for me. It's cool for me because I'm trying not to overdo it, and bringing too much attention, but doing the Topper Walk doing the Topper Walk for years where I was at, compared to the walk here is very night and day. And so it's very, exciting and cool for me to kind of express, where I'm from and, give people an opportunity to kind of almost get to know me just through seeing me with, one of my hats on or my boots on or just something so they can, say, hey, that guy came from Texas, and I'm very proud of. Texans are always very proud of where we came from.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
To be able to, throw some cooler stuff on. I'm excited for the weather to cool off too. The cold front kind of moving in, so I can wear some of that stuff. So I'm all pumped for the sun to go away. So.
Yeah, the calendar turns to October. The weather will begin to cool a little bit. SEC play. It should be a lot of fun. Be a lot to talk about next week when we get together. Don't forget 4450 I-55 North, The Rogue. It's also, you can go to therogue.com. All the best items from Peter Millar, Martin Dingman, Jack Victor, Halsey, True Grit, Duckhead, so many other brands that I'm not even thinking of right now. 4450 I-55 North in Jackson, or therogue.com. So we'll come back next week. We'll talk about Ole Miss and Kentucky and start to turn our attention to Ole Miss's first SEC road game of the season at Vanderbilt in Nashville on October the 8th. So, Mason, anything else before we go?
No, all good. Hopefully my fantasy team wins. So that's what I'm shifting gears to fantasy and homework now. So good
luck to your fantasy team. I think you've got a game of tug of war in your future here in a minute or so as well. So,
so
good luck with that. I'm picking her in tug of war. She's
tug.
She's ready. Yeah, ready to be intense. All right, we'll stop there. For Mason Brooks, I'm Neil McCready. Until next time, take care.
See you.